Hi everyone, my name is Lilith Starr, and you may know me as the author of the book The Happy Satanist. And today I just wanted to give a shout out to one of my very favorite book series of all times, and that is the His Dark Materials series by Phillip Pullman. And it's a series of 3 books: The Golden Compass, The Subtle Knife, and The Amber Spyglass. And it follows the adventures of 2 teenagers, one from our dimension and one from another very interesting dimension. Um, and it follows them as they are being hunted down by an agency called the Magisterium. And the Magisterium is actually what we call in this dimension the church. So it has it's analogous to the church in the medieval ages. So at a time when they basically had control over everything, when the Catholic Church just had its fingers in everything and sat behind the monarchy. So these 2 children, the protagonists, are on the cusp of finding out their own awakening as far as love and even lust concerns. And the magisterium is dead set on making sure that no children ever grow up again, that they never receive that awakening and that knowledge. And in the story, they keep calling Lyra, the woman, the female teenager, they call her Eve. And that is because she is the one that will be tempted to take the apple and basically awaken to her own knowledge, especially of her ability for love and for sexuality and for lust and romance. And basically, the magisterium is doing these vile experiments on children to make sure they're trying to find a way so that no child ever, basically becomes satanic and finds out things about themselves that the church just wants them innocent of. So they're trying to basically cut that away from children everywhere in all dimensions. And Lyra, if she is allowed to grasp this knowledge, somehow she will reset all these dimensions back into what they're naturally meant to be. And that, of course, is free of the church, free of these extreme limitations on knowledge and on feeling and on freedom. The magisterium just wants everyone to obey them, of course. So the series follows Will and Lyra across these dimensions and all these really interesting places in them. And it's a very well written, very engaging series. I read it when I was 30 and I was really engrossed in it. I didn't know it was a young adult book when I picked it up, but I really would recommend it to anybody of any age, young adult or older. In fact, I think this series could play a really meaningful role in a lot of young people's lives. Because in it, the church is presented as evil and controlling and all the bad things that we see in a lot of churches today, right? Like the Catholic Church is certainly not the good guys when you look at all the child abuse and child rape that is systemic within that church and within the Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons and a lot of large fundamentalist Christian churches. So, this book actually gives you another take on it, on what we're told, especially as young people, if, you know, our parents are fundamentalist or very religious, we get told that the church is good and that anybody who doesn't obey completely is bad and demonic. And this gives you a really beautiful world with a different take on the church and on those who disobey, so the two protagonists. And in the end, they finally do basically eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge and fall in love with each other. And they defy and bring down the church, at least in this particular effort. So, I could see, especially a young person who is questioning their sexuality or their gender identity, or just questioning the religion that's being imposed on them and what their parents are saying, and especially if it's abusive. But, the church tells them, well, you must obey your parents, so shut up and obey. I think if they read this series, they might not. They might see that there is a different perspective and that there can be protagonists that are fighting the church and not obeying its, just terrible, judgmental laws about what people do with their bodies and who they love and what they believe. And so I think it could be really empowering for someone who has had that right to question just denied to them their whole life growing up. And I know when you're young, a lot of times you haven't had any outside input other than your family, especially if it is a judgmental, fundamentalist family or Catholic family. So I think this could be a wonderful gift for a young person in your life, or just anybody who's struggling. They're trying to see the church as good, but it's kind of obvious that it isn't. So this is a good way to start questioning that doesn't just dive right into Satanism. Satanism isn't mentioned, Satan isn't mentioned. But as I wasn't a Satanist when I read it the first time, but going back and looking at it again, I do see the satanic themes. The writer has said that his goal was to write a version of Paradise Lost for teenagers. And sure enough, every chapter opens with a quote from Paradise Lost. And in it, there are angels that are on, the side of the protagonist instead of God's. And it's pretty subtle, but if you know what you're looking for, you can see those satanic themes. But at the same time, it's really well disguised. So, you can basically give it to a teen without the parents freaking out, like a satanic Bible or something. So, anyway, thank you so much for listening. And yeah, I really enjoyed telling you about basically my favorite series of all time. Thank you.